All right. So we're going to finish up our series on the questioning Darwin, and we're going to look at creation science.
Sputnik, it was a challenge to the scientific community, to the government of the United States. There was. But behind that all was this idea that Darwinism is correct also.
Darwinism is not a valid science. It's the theory of evolution. Darwinism is just a term that people try to use to make it seem like the acceptance of evolutionary theory is somehow a religion.
The huge programs to bring biology teaching into the American school system awoke effectively something of a sleeping tiger.
For the first time in history, creationists fought back, using an entirely new tactic. They would fight science with science, orthodox science.
That's what you
with
want to call
creation
it.
Science.
The Bible reveals that God created all the animal and plant kinds in the beginning.
What the hell even is a kind?
And we're now learning that God placed a huge amount of information within each created kind.
The funny thing about DNA is that every time it divides in an organism, less and less DNA is available because there are pieces of each strand that cannot be effectively replicated because they are not completely attached to each other. Sometimes there are regions called telomeres that have to constantly be rebuilt in some organisms. Otherwise, you lose genetic material.
Allowing them to diversify into the myriad of plants and animals we see today. This is not evolution, it's creation by an all-knowing,
Well, if you're talking about DNA changing or differing in the way it's expressed, evolution is just the change in allele frequency over time. So over time, you're going to have some genes being expressed more strongly than others, and that's going to differ.
powerful, infinitely wise creator.
Further up, we see a massive grouping of galaxies called the Virgo cluster. It contains over 2,000 galaxies and is 50 million light years away from Earth. Critics of the Bible have suggested that it is impossible for the light from these galaxies to reach Earth in only 6,000 years. But in fact, there are several different ways to get light to travel these distances in a short period of time. These include gravitational time dilation, alternate synchrony conventions, and others.
Care to define or elaborate?
Many scientists contend that dinosaurs died off over 60 million years before humans came to be. The possibility that humans and dinosaurs ever coexisted is unthinkable to them. But what does the Bible say?
The Bible makes it very clear that God created land animals on day 6. Dinosaurs were land animals.
Not all dinosaurs were land dwellers.
Therefore, Adam and Eve and dinosaurs lived hand in hand. They lived together. From just reading Genesis, you get the idea of a perfect world, no death, no disease. Animals, man, the dinosaurs were all vegetarian.
The problem with this, not that's the problem with being vegetarian, but this is one I'm losing my words. This is one aspect of their existence that is apparently going to be changed by sin.
A fossil record is a record of death. It's a record of animals eating each other. It's a record of disease because there are dinosaur bones with brain tumors. But you can't have dinosaurs with brain tumors and dinosaurs eating each other until after sin.
So I'm just confused about why sin changed that aspect of these animals. For a few things. First of all, if you go from having no sin to having sin, and that causes some change, why couldn't the change be in coloration or body shape or body size? And if you really think of it, Why did some animals stay herbivores? If everything did a complete 180, then when everything was eating just plants, their risk of being preyed upon was zero and their ability to eat another animal was zero. So shouldn't everybody be a predator and then everybody just be eating one another?
So if dinosaurs lived alongside humans, and Noah even brought pairs of young dinosaurs with him on the ark, what happened to them? Where did they all go? Well, dragon legends are found in many cultures and traditions all around.
I'm also confused about the fact that they are earlier in the video asserting that humans are not the same as animals, yet they're telling us that animals are just as culpable for sin as humans were. So please tell me what makes humans and animals any different. If only humans are the ones suffering the effects of sin, that's one thing, but apparently animals are now getting sick and being eaten by one another because of sin.
Around the world. So it is hardly surprising that the world will be filled with legends of heroes like Saint.
This still doesn't tell us about where the dinosaurs went. What was so different about dinosaurs and dragons that made them die out after sin and nothing else?
And their encounters with mighty beasts.
If the only way you can make your belief persist is to lie to children, which is what creationists do about the age of the earth and things of that nature, if that's the only way this thing can persist, it's not worth it. It should disappear.
I totally agree. Why, if this is a valid idea, do the facts not persist and does it not hold its own weight? Why do you have to be taught this from an early age, and why do they use fear to enforce and keep people believing it instead of letting what we can observe out in nature speak for itself?
The people that have taken these set of questions very seriously, why would they all have been misled as well?
We're very aware of how much evolution is taught in the public school setting, so that's why we like to homeschool. Can you show me on the timeline?
Sounds like you're very insecure about what your kids would find out when they go out in the real world. You're not setting them up for anything good. You're sheltering them from differing viewpoints. You're encouraging them to be intolerant. And, their beliefs and ideas are not going to be very strong if they're not presented with opposing viewpoints. Not only that, don't you think they're going to be mad at you if they go out and find facts contrary to what you've been teaching them their whole life?
Where he is?
He's right here.
Okay.
Timeline.
Okay. And what word that we use today came from his name?
In modern English, martyr means somebody who's killed for the sake of Christ.
We do need to shield our...
Technically being a martyr means you're dying for any cause, usually religious, not necessarily Christianity.
our kids from what's going on in the world and help them to be able to defend their faith. Gladiator?
I gotta be honest. I have run into a lot of people who are very strong in their religious beliefs because their parents allow them to go explore other religions and other churches along with what they grew up in.
Fights, dramas, and as a slaughtering house for Christians who would not deny Jesus.
So all of these people were witnessing the slaughter of multiple Christians and watching gruesome things such as gladiators fighting each other to the death. I'm sure that they will be attacked when they go out into the world when they're older and they're...
What do you mean by attacked? They will encounter people who disagree with them, and they will be told that they are incorrect or silly for believing what they're believing. I don't know if they will be physically or even verbally attacked, but you're probably going to say, if somebody disagrees with me, I'm under attack, right?
in the workforce. One of our children is very interested in science.
Nero was the first emperor to start the major persecution of the Christians.
We warn our son that there are going to be many people who are not going to agree that God created this world in 6 literal days. They're going to...
If it's an agreeable point, that would be one thing, but you're asserting things without demonstrating them. Of course people aren't going to agree, and you can't expect them to.
I'm going to tell them it's a fairy tale.
Because it is.
To have strong faith and believe God's word to be able to defend that later.
If you're really concerned about whether or not somebody who's demanding evidence for it is going to accept and believe it, why don't you provide some damn evidence?
It used to be that there was a three-legged stool. The family taught what the schools taught, what the church taught. Now you have, in our church, you have families and church teaching one thing, and you have schools teaching another thing.
That's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, for one, we shouldn't have a bunch of different resources all doing the same thing. And two, schooling is for practical skills and tangible knowledge. If you want to have a religious belief, do that elsewhere.
Oftentimes when I'm dealing with young people, especially people who are about to graduate out of high school, go off to college, I tell them that they're going to face significant opposition to what they believe as far as their understanding and love for the Word of God.
You say that like it's a bad thing. If it's really that powerful, it should be able to withstand scrutiny.
You read headlines and you watch television, and the overwhelming current is belief in evolution. Are you threatened by it, or do those arrows kind of do they wear you down?
I absolutely believe that God had a controlling hand over my creation and over the creation of the earth and the creation of all things.
Your belief in that does not make it true.
And there's nothing that the secular world can say to shake that.
I was raised and I believe that the Bible is fact, so if something's gonna collide with it, then it's obviously incorrect and false.
I think sometimes our culture has like a overly heavy reliance on like science.
That's not necessarily a bad thing. Science is what makes you guys able to actually participate in this documentary, and some of you probably wouldn't be alive without science.
Christianity is more than science and scientific proof.
Have you guys ever been in a situation where you...
Oh, forgot to mention, in science it's not really about proof, it's more about evidence. And Christianity has neither provided evidence nor proof for its claims.
...been articulating your faith, and it was met with mockery?
She never surprised us that we're mocked or hated by the world. I mean, Christ said that this would happen, and it's happening, so...
In the Western world, Christians are the most privileged religious group.
I have to say, and I'm willing to say, that the first 11 chapters of Genesis are true and correct, because it's God's word.
If one could imagine Darwin sitting down in that...
So that's the gist of what the creationists have to say about the theory of evolution. Again, nobody has really presented any factual data to discredit the theory of evolution, and the theory just keeps getting stronger as we gather more evidence. And at this point, we're not even concerned about proving evolution. We're concerned about applying evolution to explain trends that we're seeing now with species invasions and disease outbreaks and domestication and a variety of other things that are important in a world where the climate is changing, human population is growing, and where species are just being pushed to all sorts of new limits in terms of what they can tolerate. So I hope you guys enjoyed this 4-part series. Feel free to give me any suggestions or say whatever you wish about it. Thanks for watching.